Welcome to Global Insiders Podcast. I am Ryan, the peripatetic one, bringing you information about opportunities relating to jobs, traveling, and any information that can elevate you to your rightful place in this thing called life. You can find more information and how-to methods on globalinsidersgroup.com. That is insiders with an S. And here is today's show. Hello, insiders. Today I have a very special guest, a young woman who is well traveled. She has not only traveled to many bucket list places that even movie stars dream about, but she has also lived in a couple. The truth is, I am sure you will hear from her again in the future because she has wonderful travel stories from all over the globe. However, today she will be talking to us about how to get into a master's degree program in Sweden. Insiders, get ready to be informed by my very special guest, the globe-trotting Janiel. Welcome to Global Insiders podcast, Janiel.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Before we get started, I would like to know how many countries have you traveled
Thanks for the wonderful introduction, but I haven't traveled to that many countries.
to? Well,
I've I'm probably somewhere around 16 thereabouts.
16 and you haven't traveled to that many countries, you know?
I haven't.
Yes,
Hmm.
talk about relative. Yes, definitely, definitely. That's a lot. That's a lot. Anything over five in my book is a lot of
Oh, okay.
countries. Yes, so okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, as I said
Hmm.
today, we won't really be drilling you or asking you too much about those countries, but we want to know about Sweden. But first, where and what did you do your first degree in?
So I did my first degree in political science and international relations. So I did a double major
Okay, fantastic. Where?
at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus.
Okay, in Jamaica. Wonderful. So, what did you study in Sweden?
In Sweden, I studied international administration and global governance. It's a mouthful, um, but
Yeah.
for short, it's referred to as IAGG.
Okay.
Hmm.
IAGG. Okay. And what does that entail really? Like, I mean, just give us a brief overview of that.
All right, so the main focus of that program is it's a compilation of different disciplines. So you have economics, you have politics, and international relations. And the focus really is policy. So, how are policies formulated? How are they evaluated? And the program really was designed to, because every day there's just a lot of issues in the world, and especially governance issues, and that program was strategically designed to address those issues. So to basically groom practitioners to help to solve those issues.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So, Sweden, why did you decide to travel 5,344 miles from Jamaica to study in Sweden? So that's a
Um, yeah, Sweden is pretty far if you think about it in terms of miles, but it's not that far because I mean Jamaica enjoys, diplomatic relations with Sweden, so they're pretty much friends. Jamaica is pretty much a friend to everyone.
yes,
Um,
yep, yes.
why did I choose Sweden? So I was looking for a graduate program that would allow me to stay within social sciences, but to mainly focus on policy. Because ultimately, I my passion really is policy analysis, and I was doing research, and I found there were only two schools really in the world that were offering a tailor-made program to fit what I was looking for, and that was one in Sweden and one in Florida. The Florida one was fairly new at the time that I was looking, and when I was researching for the program that I was looking at, it was about a year and a half old, but I mean, they had a pretty strong network of policy analysts, lecturers, and the university that I was looking at had a real rich history.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So they were around longer than the one in Florida. So that was the
Florida,
main reason.
right?
Okay, yes, it's
Mhm.
always good to go with the ones who are established because they know the ins and outs of the area. So that's definitely helpful.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
and also networking is also a good um thing to look at as well. How much you can get out of the program while you are there, not just academic wise, but from a professional standpoint as well.
Okay. So in order to go to a master's program or a graduate program in the States, you have to do the GRE. Did you have to do anything
Right.
similar?
It depends if you are going to a school that requires, for example, if it's a school that is focused on management studies or economics, which then you would definitely need to do GMAT, or some schools will ask you for GRE scores, but it's not typically required.
So it's the same American exams that they ask for?
For those schools, yes, because I mean GRE and GMAT are standardized
Exams.
tests. So,
Yes.
right. Mm.
Okay. Fantastic. Is it easy for internationals to get scholarships to attend university in Sweden?
That's a pretty interesting question because as unlike other places in the world, Scandinavia and a few other European countries, what they've done, I think lately now the UK has been going along that route. Everything is centralized. So you really don't apply to several different schools, like paper-based or online applications, like separate applications. You do not do that. It's a centralized thing. And just the same way as you apply to a centralized source, all the funding comes from a centralized body as well. So when you're applying, you would indicate that, okay, you're applying for a scholarship as well.
Okay. Wow.
But the system has since then changed. When I was applying, it was a different system. There's a new system now in place.
Okay. Where can I find out more about the system? Do you know?
All right, so the main website is you can look at is studyinSweden.se or universityadmissions.se.
Okay. .sc. All right.
All right.
Okay. Fantastic. And what is the application process like? Which documents do you need, and how long does the process take to apply for university?
All right. So since the system has changed since I did it, I won't be able to go in depth in terms of what's happening now, but I have a general idea of the application process.
Yes.
So first you need to go onto that central portal and create your account.
Yes.
So you create a user account, and after that you search via that portal for different programs that might interest you. Then the most important thing is, after searching and identifying programs that interest you, you then now have to rank them in order of your interest.
Okay. Is there like a limit, like the amount of places
I
you can?
think, I'm not sure. At the time I did it, it was three.
Okay. All right. That sounds fair enough.
Right. You could apply to more than three, right?
Okay.
So you rank your selections, and then after that, now you submit your documents electronically.
All right. And the documents, like from memory, can you just give me a list?
Right, so definitely you would need transcript, you would need a copy of your passport, the front with your all your biometric details, then your biodata,
Yes,
your
like
bio,
your age, your
right,
name, and that type of thing. Yeah.
right. So the you're right, the picture
Yeah, the biometric information.
page
Okay.
of your passport, right, and then you would also need to a certified copy of your undergraduate degree. You would also, it depends. Some courses are a little bit more strict than others, so they would need references. Some would need references at that point in time. So you have to be careful when you are applying to see, okay, what courses require what.
Okay, and definitely on the website they would list this, right? I'm sure.
Right,
Yes,
right.
okay. So it's not like it's some sort of hidden process. It's there on the website. You
No,
just have to go
so
on the
once you
website. Yeah.
right, so once you search and you identify courses or programs that you are interested in, you then go onto the the school's website and then look more in depth at what they're offering and what they require.
Okay, awesome. Were there many foreigners in your classes, or were you the lone foreigner?
No, there were a lot of foreigners in my class. So at that time when I enrolled, they tried to make it balanced. So
Yes.
you'd have half of the class being Swedish and then half being from other different countries. So at that time, I had people in my class from a lot of different European countries, Lithuania, Estonia, Norway, Denmark. You had a lot of persons from African nations, various African nations, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana.
Wow.
You had
They are
right, you
truly
had persons
international, man.
from
It's like the United
yeah, you
Nations
had
in Sweden.
exactly. You had persons from South America.
Wow.
Well, I was the only Caribbean
All right,
national,
that's what I was
but
about to ask if you were the only Jamaican in
yeah,
the room.
yeah, I was the only Jamaican and the only Caribbean person. But I mean, it was a very, very diverse group.
Yes,
Very, very. It's more like a melting pot. Very, very diverse.
definitely. I can see that. I can get that. I get that feeling. Did you have to do lessons in English or did you have to use Swedish?
So the program that I chose was, well, I think most, if not 90% of the programs offered in Sweden are in English. Um, so pretty much all the classes, sorry, were in English. You have the option to also do Swedish if you would like. Well, at the time that I was doing it, you can do that course as extra credits, which I did.
Okay.
So it's available to you, yeah.
All right. So you can speak.
It's been a while, Ryan.
Okay. 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 All right. Was it difficult to learn the language though?
For me, I think that Swedish is very soft on the ears, so
Okay.
it it's very easy to catch on to, and you have a lot of English sounding words. I won't say English words, but
English
borrowed
sounding. Yes, I
words.
understand.
Right. So, for example, absolute is absolute.
Oh, okay.
Precise is precise. But of course, you have, because their phonetics is a little bit different, you have extra not extra letters in the alphabet, so the
Oh,
sound
okay.
is gonna be different, right? But some words will stand out.
Okay. So I guess that's where you start with the alphabet.
Right.
All right, fantastic, Janelle. Um,
Hmm.
what about cost of living? How did you cover that? Because I'm thinking it's far away from home, and I mean it's university. I mean it's not like you're there for work. If you were there for work, I understand you'd be working and you could cover your costs. But being a student, how did you manage that?
All right. So straight off the bat, Sweden is one of the most expensive countries.
I wasn't expecting that, but okay.
It is. It
Yes.
is. It's after the first week of being there, like I used to have severe migraines just going to the supermarket or
Wow.
right, or just setting up my room, buying a bed, buying a desk. It
But
if you
if I'm not
convert it
mistaken,
to
it's
Jamaican dollars,
IKEA is from Sweden, right?
right, and so is H&M.
Okay, so I'm thinking good prices there. But then again, continue. I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Right. It's very, very, very expensive. So for example, I'll tell you how crazy it can be. Imagine you decide to eat out at a mid-end um
Restaurant.
restaurant,
Yes.
right? That could very well be your grocery money for the week
Oh, so we're talking upwards of $100 then. Like if we're
in
doing it in
one
US,
in
if we're doing
one
it in
meal.
US dollars, it's like 100 US dollars.
Yeah. It
Uh,
was pretty expensive. So um you know, it is expensive, but there are perks to it being expensive. So, for example,
yes.
on Fridays, bars or cafes or restaurants would have something. Well, it's a Swedish tradition. On Fridays, most places have what you call after work. So, persons, instead of going home, they'd go and socialize with their friends, and some places would offer if you buy a let's say you bought a glass of wine, then you could have access to what they call smack board, which is you probably would get some hors d'oeuvres and some other little knickknacks and stuff like
Okay.
that.
All right.
Right, so I mean it's a trade-off in some respect, um but in terms of being expensive, but then the quality of life is very, very good.
Okay.
Everything is clean. It's just, yeah, you know
It's
why you're paying,
organized.
right? You know why you're paying that much. You can
Okay. You
see
can see it. You
first.
can see where the
Mm,
money is going. Okay.
right.
Fantastic. Did you work?
No, I didn't work. Um, at one point in time, I tried to get a part-time job,
Yes.
and okay, getting a job in Sweden is very, very difficult for a student. A
Okay.
lot of students do deliveries, so they deliver ads, like paper based ads,
Okay.
or
Like newspaper
advertisement,
deliverers type of thing.
right, and as well as
Okay.
newspaper. Um, the salary for newspaper delivery is pretty decent, very, very good
Okay.
money. But you have to think about the fact that Sweden really, really gets cold in winter, and winter lasts long. So like jobs that are outside are particularly difficult.
Okay.
Um,
Especially for someone who is coming from like the
the
Caribbean, which is like
tropics,
yeah, the
right?
tropics. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but their jobs are very difficult to get because of the language skills. So, majority of Swedes speak English, unless you're probably 5 years old or probably over 90, you
Yes.
know. But English is taught in schools, everybody speaks English, but I was told that why you need to speak Swedish at work is it creates an air of cohesiveness. Everybody understands each other. You're on the same page, and no one is being forced to speak a language that is not their mother tongue, which
I
makes
understand. Yes, it does. I mean, because I
right.
mean,
So
there
it,
are
it
yeah,
creates right. Creates harmony. So
that's right.
even though your coworkers will understand you, no one should feel the stress of, oh, I have to speak English today because my coworker only speaks English.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, some places will tell you straight up, Swedish language skills is a must. Others, depending on what you are doing and what skills are needed for the job, some places probably will overlook that.
Okay, good. All right, that's understood. Um, how long did your studies take? How long did you stay in Sweden?
I was there for 2 years.
Okay, so
So
you
it was
got
a yeah, it was a 2 year master's program, right?
okay, good. And I'm sure it wasn't all study, right? You got a chance to take part in other school activities, right?
Yeah. As part of my program, I had to do an internship, and I did my internship in Germany.
Oh
So
wow, in
yeah, I went
Germany. You
away
see,
for a little
you're
bit.
you're way more a traveler than I'm even considering. Wow.
No,
How
yeah,
was
but
that? How was that? How was it in Germany?
it was very, very good. I did my internship in Berlin, and up until this day, I have very, very, very fond memories of Berlin. It was just very artsy, very vibrant, a really wonderful city. It kind of it has an old history, don't get me wrong, but it was a very young and vibrant city.
Yes,
It's
I understand. Yeah.
right. So I really
It's in
enjoyed my
the word
time.
you're maybe looking for it was hip.
Hip, I would say, but but I mean, at the time there was a popular, the mayor at the time, he said this was 2011, and
Yes.
he made a statement. I think someone said something, and he was, his response was, Berlin may be broke, but we are sexy, or
Okay.
something to that effect. So,
Yes.
I mean, just to tell you, the nature of the city was, very vibrant and hip, as you say. Yeah.
Yes, it sounds like it was a hip place. All
Yeah,
right,
but
so
very artsy. Mm.
yes, but back in Sweden, so apart from doing your thesis in Berlin, what else like in terms of extracurricular activities people can think about? Like if someone is moving to Sweden, like
There,
they're going to college, yeah. What can what
there are
during
so
the
many
downtimes?
societies there. Right, there are so many societies there that you can get involved in. I remember I was a part of peer counselors. I was also an EU career ambassador, which
Nice.
basically I was with the European Personnel Selection Office. So I was a representative for my university, and it was you have so many opportunities because I got trained in Brussels, and then um, I had a chance to meet other students from other universities who had the same role as I did. And basically, your job in your university is to tell persons about the process, the application process, how to apply to the EU, to the various organizations in the EU. Funny enough, I
Okay.
am not European, so
Yes. I
yeah,
guess
but
that
that's just the go getter spirit in me, because
definitely
they were
is.
very surprised, yeah, when I
Yes.
applied for the role.
Wow.
But yeah, you have so many also in Sweden, a lot many persons are very active. They like to go to the gym or do outdoor
Activities.
activities, and just the environment itself is very green and lush, so it makes you want to be outside when it's definitely not winter. um, right, so
I
a
get
lot of different sports you can get involved in that. They have so many different societies: dance, drama, um,
so active societies.
medieval, yeah, medieval activities. It There's just a wide cross section of activities that you
Nice.
can get involved in.
So why should ambitious students try to study in Sweden, in your opinion?
I mean, Sweden is a wonderful place, and not to mention the people are very, very friendly, very outgoing. It's, I mean, studying in Sweden opens you up to a different way of life. It opens you up to another language. Um, you know,
And
you get to share ideas with persons from a wide cross section, different countries, different continents. It's just a wonderful place to
and from
study.
And from picking up from what you said earlier, it seems as if it is also a wonderful gateway into the rest of Europe. So,
Right.
yes, okay.
And also, in terms of one thing that really stood out for me when I was studying there is just the faculty. There is a culture in the university whereby they allow you to think freely, but at the same time, they understand that life happens and they will make um,
Adjustments.
adjustments. So I'll tell you a quick story. Um, I don't remember what happened. I had an emergency, but I had an exam scheduled
Yes.
and I had an emergency and I could not make the exam for that date. I just could not. And they set a new exam just for me.
Yes. Really?
I didn't have to write. I didn't have to go into a lot of explanation. My program director understood what it was. She conveyed that to the other faculty members, and a new exam was set for me at a date that was convenient to me.
Oh, wow. So,
Right. So, I mean, they understand that life happens, things happen. I mean, if it's a trivial excuse, it's not gonna fly. But,
of course, of course.
the
But if
fact
it's
is,
something serious, if life, as you said, if life
right.
happens, if something out of your control happens, I mean, they will try to understand your situation. That's fantastic.
And, you know, I've never been in a situation where I said to a professor, "Oh, I don't understand this," or "Oh, I want to talk more about this," but the time wasn't enough, and they said, "No, I can't. I'm busy." Never, never.
Wow, wow, that is sounding like a dream right now to me too.
Yeah, so
Um,
they're very accommodating.
okay. So, I mean, cost, like, how much should someone who is thinking about going to Sweden think about having, like, because you must have some, like, in terms of, like, plane fare and all of that type of thing. What should
Um,
they think?
well, at the time that I went, they said that you needed 7,000 crowns a month. I'm not sure what the 7,000 crowns, which would have been roughly around 100 US at the time for 1,000.
Yes.
Um, so you probably need around 700 a month. Is
So,
it? Yeah, around that
so I,
minimum. Right, but that was what, a couple of years ago. So now I'm expecting it to be a lot more. But I mean, they have student housing, and also you can share apartments with other students.
okay.
So there are ways around it. I mean, now with the in with a lot of freelance websites and things like that, persons can work online.
Oh, yes.
So you shouldn't really think about, oh, it's gonna be a lot of money, or I can't afford it just now. There are ways of
Going
going
around
around
on
it.
it, yeah. If,
I mean, you can apply for the scholarship. If you don't get the scholarship, then there are other organizations that also offer scholarships. I remember for me, like my tuition, I didn't have to pay tuition, but I
okay.
had to buy living expenses. And in my first and second year, I got a bursary. So, and I also got another bursary when I went to do my internship. So there's so many other ways of funding your studies if you don't get the main scholarship to pay your
Okay.
tuition. Right.
Yes. And I'm sure they can see this information on the website that we spoke about earlier.
It's all listed there.
Okay, good. Great, great. So if a friend came to you and said, "Oh, Janelle, I want to study in Sweden," what would you say to that friend?
Sure, go for it. I mean, as long as there's a program there that you really want to study, I'd definitely encourage someone. I don't have any hesitations when it comes on to Sweden about studying, especially, I mean, the facilities there are world class. The professors there are just they've done things that will blow your mind. I remember my professor telling me, "Oh, um, I've been in," because he was a policy analyst. He was in, I think it was Sierra Leone and some other countries when they had the unrest, and it was just mind blowing to me. Persons who are standing in front of you with all that rich experience and knowledge just to share with
Yes,
you.
they're not just reading a book and
Right,
regurgitating, they're actually living what
right,
they're teaching.
right.
Nice.
So, I mean,
It's
the
priceless.
experience is priceless. Priceless. You can't put a price tag on it for sure.
Okay, excellent. So we have come to the end of our show, and you have really shared some wonderful information with us. But now, how can people reach you if they would like to ask you questions?
My email address is jhazel.
Yes.
That's HAZLE
Okay.
NUTS at gmail.com.
Okay. So jhazelnuts at gmail.com.
Right.
Okay, fantastic. Janiel, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you are inspired. You can find more helpful and motivational material at globalinsidersgroup.com. That is, insiders with an S. You can also keep in touch at Global Insiders on Instagram. See you next time, but remember, you can be your own superhero. Bye.